Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Creating Lasting Change. And today I'm excited to be talking with Dawn Heywood, and we're going to be talking about stress, which is such a common thing in the world today. We're going to be sharing about how to unlock stress and pain with intentional movement. And a lot of us get stuck sitting in chairs and we don't think to get up and move. So let me introduce her and then we're going to start talking. Dawn Heywood is a heart-centered chair yoga teacher. Dawn empowers her students to use breath and movement to increase flexibility and mobility and to create guilt-free moments of rest throughout the day. Dawn is changing lives 60 seconds at a time. And I got to say, um, there is a lot of guilt and shame and negative talk about rest. So that is something after welcoming you here, I would love to jump in and talk about. So welcome, Dawn. I'm so excited that you could be here today.
Thank you. I'm incredibly excited to be here as well. So yeah, we can certainly jump in and talk about this concept of guilt. And for me, I know my personal experience in getting into a yogic lifestyle, I discovered this concept that as a mom, as a wife, as a full-time professional, it was really hard to find time to just be myself. I felt eventually that I lost a part of who I was and what I loved because of the demands of modern life. Um, and one of the things I've loved about my yoga practice is making that commitment to go to the studio, to my space, and just put all of my stress, all of my worries in a little box and just put it on the side of my mat. Now, that's not to say it doesn't creep in. However, the practice has given me tools to feel okay and feel good about acknowledging what's going in my mind, what's going through my mind, and to then return
Mhm.
back to my practice.
And that's so important because I know even myself, like, I don't do it. I'm very aware of it now, but it's like when I got sick a couple of years ago, after one day of rest, I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta move. I gotta move. Meanwhile, my body was exhausted and I felt so guilty. And I'm like, really? And it definitely, like, especially, or even just taking a day off sometimes, I'm like, I'm just gonna chill because I know by taking that time, so many other things are still happening behind the scenes within me. If I just would allow myself to stop with the talk, stop the negativity, stop that. I can't believe you're sitting down and not doing A, B, C, D. We still have to do A, B, C, D. I'm much, much better at it now. But what do you recommend for the people who are dealing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So 60 seconds at a time. That's one of my catchphrases.
Mm.
And I really believe you can create 60 seconds of guilt-free rest if you decide to. So it's really the key factor, the key tool I have
Mhm.
is setting a timer. And you could set two timers. You could set one at the top of every hour,
Oh.
and you just get up and you move around. And then the second timer is a 60-second timer. And you can start shorter, start with 10 seconds, start with 15 seconds, and just breathe. Take 3 deep breaths.
Mhm.
And it really does change your perspective. And it's rest is so important because when not only your example, Trisha, where your body was exhausted, your mind needs the rest also because when you're going, 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 Are there times when you feel like you just can't think anymore? Or you're in a writer's block or a creative block? And by taking that rest, even if it's just 3 breaths, however long it takes you to take 3 breaths, for me, it's probably 60 seconds because I breathe big, that can have an immediate impact
Yeah.
on your creativity.
Yeah. I totally agree because it's like you sit and you get so caught up into the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories of, oh my God, you're being lazy. And the reality is, no, that is what we were told. That is how we grew up. That is what society tells us. It's so interesting. I have a friend, she's in Australia, and it's so interesting. She's like, I'm not feeling well. I'm taking a week off. And I'm like, that's fabulous. Fabulous. Because if you continue to push yourself going to work or doing things, you will get sicker. And it's like we don't have that mentality here. It's like we just push through it, push through it. And that push through it and that hustle and grind is, for me, I think that's just that whole mentality needs to be washed away because all we're doing is pushing and pushing while not being in the flow, while constantly your body is saying rest, 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 or you are so blocked creatively because you're so worried about what you're saying to yourself. It's like boom, 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 that cycle down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said about grind culture.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful segue into a conversation about a yogic lifestyle because the yoga, in its true essence, not what you see on Instagram, not what you see in the health studios, the gyms, even in some yoga studios, it's the antithesis of that grind culture. It's the antithesis of the body that's super flexible. It's and the antithesis of yoga as a workout. Really, in its true, genuine, ancient roots, it's a practice of learning how to detach from expectations, from an outcome. It's really about peacefulness within yourself, which then you project to others because in addition to the movement and breath practices, there's a whole set of morals and codes, guidelines
Mhm.
that are part of yogic culture. And we're not going to digress because I could, but they're called the yamas and the niyamas. And it's the principles of yogic lifestyle. It's treating people with respect. It's non-harming. It's the way you view yourself and your relationship with others. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But my point is part of that work, the philosophical work, the culture, learning more about the culture of the yoga lifestyle, is to resist the grind culture and to really resist the messaging that we've been taught and to learn ways and the tools to really fall back in love with ourselves and with our life and reconnect to the things that have brought us joy. Again, not because we're being self centered, but because when we are our true, authentic selves, we're better people and we have better relationships. And we can be, most importantly, really present in the moment with each person that you are interacting with.
Yeah. It comes down to self-reflection, self-awareness. I seem to be talking about that a lot lately. Self-reflection, self-awareness are triggers that put us into those states of unrest, those states of discomfort, those states of critical thinking, of criticizing. So those are the things that, once we get there, what are some tools and tips to come out of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a, breath is always with you. So I always use the breath because that can be the most accessible to some people. I know breathing can be very difficult. It's almost scary when you really start doing deep breathing, because in our digital lifestyle or seated lifestyle, we're hunched over a computer, hunched over the phone. So you're curving in your upper body, you're closing down your heart space.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the heart space is actually in your back too. And what I love about the breath and even movement. So if you're inhaling and you're opening your arms to the side, you have an opportunity to really press gently your chest forward and imagine your shoulder blades moving closer together. And inhale here, and then exhale. You can bring your chin towards your chest, hands towards your shoulders, and you open the back up and inhale. And this is a very easy way to start connecting and opening that heart space, to bring more breath. And I love uniting breath to movement, because you really have an opportunity to slow everything down. So you're not just going through the motions, you're really being very intentional with inhaling and using the entire inhale to open up. And there's different ways of opening. I showed one variation of keeping your elbows close, but you can also bring your arms all the way out, which with the technology, you can't see my hands either. Just a little humor. Yoga world. So even if you're sitting in a chair, there are easy ways to start unlocking that tension and get movement if you don't want to or aren't able to get up. If you're on a phone call and you can, unless you're on video, you could start dropping your ears side to side or looking over your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the intuitive movements that people may do when they're starting to feel tension, that's can be very similar to a yoga practice, slow moving yoga practice.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when I was doing it with you, I realized how open I was stretching my back, and I'm like, and I usually do some type of movement every morning. And today I was unable to. Today it was like I felt like I was rushing to get to where I had to be, and I did not do any stretching. And as soon as we did that and I opened up my back, it was like that tension just started to go. So,
Exactly.
yes. So it's so important, doing some type of movement. I do enjoy the after effects of the movement. Let's be clear, because I do exercise 5 to 6 days a week, and I like the after effects. The sometimes getting up and getting into that movement, I'm like, oh God, no. And I do know, though, as soon as I'm doing it, I feel so much better. It feels good. Like my body feels good. My mind is it's clear. It's got some ideas. But it's definitely getting into that, and some days I'm on it, and other days it's like, well, if I do it tomorrow, well, if I, so, if you do find yourself making excuses, like something that works for me is I'm always asking myself, am I in alignment with my CEO energy? Am I in alignment with who I am choosing to be? And yeah, 9 times out of 10, that answer is no. So I get up.
I love that. I love that. Um, and really yoga's taught me that as well. And studying yoga philosophy, going to the classes, and being in a community where I'm safe. And to me, that's a huge big deal as well, because there's so many yoga yoga experiences that are unsafe, not only physically, but emotionally. And I want to speak really to the person and anybody who has had that experience where you've walked into a yoga class, or maybe will not walk into a yoga class because you don't feel comfortable.
Mhm.
You feel lost. You feel like you're stuck in a corner, and your instructor, your teacher, just doesn't offer you anything. You physically can't do the poses, because for whatever reason, because you thought a class would be one way, but it was something more advanced than your body could handle. And I want to say, first and foremost, yoga really is for everybody. If you can breathe, you can do yoga, and you don't have to sit in a chair. You could be on the floor, you could be standing. I chose chair yoga because I work a lot with entrepreneurs, and they wanted
Mhm.
ways that they could move without leaving the desk. I also work with people with individuals with fibromyalgia and other hidden disabilities, where some days they can move with a lot of fluidity, and other days they just want to listen to my voice in meditation or yoga nidra, where we do a guided meditation to tap into the brain waves to unlock the flight, or fawn response, which is where the pain piece comes in as well. Is when your mind has something to do, it can't focus on the pain. So your mind and your body have that opportunity to form that neural pathway
Mhm.
to start breaking the constant cycle of the pain response. And
Mhm.
this does not mean I believe pain is in your head, because it is not,
No, no.
especially as we age. What I'm suggesting is we can tap into your brain waves, and you're using breath and movement to distract the mind, and reconnect the brain and body in a more positive way, so that the body's not in that constant stress response.
Mhm. And that's true because I've had issues where I've had pain in my hip or my wrist or my elbow. And there was one day I was like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which one is it? And I was like, all right, I was like, we can keep doing this or we can refocus on something else. And I ended up doing some type of movement, but I was focusing on the movement. I was not focusing on the pain. And sometimes it's easier said than done.
Mhm.
So, but however, if you start to create something and get your mind onto something, it's insane how our brains will go there. You know, this might be a trivial example, but a couple of years ago, I had burnt my finger really bad on the stove. I went to pull something out of the stove and I burnt my finger on the tray. So that whole night I just sat there going, my body knows how to heal. On ice. Let me tell you, I put some lavender oil, I put it on ice. I kept using cold ice packs, and I kept saying, my body knows how to heal itself and is doing so right now. And by the next day, I still had the blister, but the pain was like very minimal. So, and that's just something small. So, again, depending on what your circumstances are, there are definitely tools out there so that we can refocus our minds. Breath is huge. I've caught myself in pain, or my monkey mind is taken over down to the rabbit hole of hell. And and I've sat there and I've used some of these, some breath work. Although I do like the one, where I could stretch my back. So, so I mean, are there other things people can do? People can, incorporate into their daily routine to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Another relatively seamless option, opportunity you have is in your daily routine when you're brushing your teeth. You can really focus on the action of brushing your teeth, the
Mm,
way your toothbrush is moving across your teeth, the the sensation of the suds in your mouth,
mm,
the water that you're using to rinse your teeth, your mouth, the action of releasing anything in your mouth, the whole process, even taking a shower, really relishing the way the water is flowing over you. If you're a bath person, you can do the same thing in the bathtub. Again, it doesn't have to be the whole time, because let's be real, sometimes you just need to jump in and jump out of that shower. Count to 10 and
mhm.
just allow that water. Close your eyes if it feels safe, or just allow yourself to sink into the experience. When you're walking, whether it's by yourself, you're even in your car, you can really pay attention to what's around you.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes I'll do that when I'm in traffic. Actually, it makes traffic a lot more pleasant, and I just look around. I say, I'm gonna eventually get there. I'll get there safely.
Yeah.
I am okay. I can take my time. Let's look around and see what's going on. And I take deep breaths. I am a religious person, so I will cross myself if I'm experiencing extra stress, or I'm feeling that the bad drivers around me are starting to make my shoulders creep up to my ears. That's been another benefit of my practice, is I can tell when my body is starting to
Mm,
tighten up from the stress. But walking, the same thing. I walk all the time, and I just noticed the trees, the colors, um, the temperature around me, the birds. I
yeah.
pay attention to people. It's even the same walk is different every day.
Yeah. And that's important. You know, one of the things that I've done when I catch my anxiety level, I'm like, I am safe in this moment. I am safe in this moment. Everything's fine. You know, everything always works out for me in the most amazing ways. So I bring out my affirmations when I catch myself, starting to get, you know, my body's reacting to something. But it's interesting you said, because it's all of a sudden our shoulders come up. For me, as soon as I start feeling myself breathe through my chest, I'm like, we got problems. We got problems in situations. What is this? And sometimes it is my own head, or it is the situation. And I'm like, all right. So instead of reacting in this moment, I do my best to take a step so that I can respond from a place of inner peace, a place of guidance, instead of a place of emotional chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do want to remind everyone, this is a practice. It's
Mhm.
not a quick fix. And there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days, just as Trisha said with her workouts. The same is true in your yoga journey. And I work out too, and I go through that same mental struggle. And I loved what Trisha said about remembering, if you're in alignment. For me, it's I remember the why. Why did I start this journey? And the more often you come to these practices, the easier it gets, and the more space you create between each thought. So your mind is never going to be quiet. Don't let anybody tell you that. It's not true. However, what happens when you practice all of these techniques, whether it be yoga or subliminal messaging or Reiki or any of the healing arts, they're all complementary, first of all. But second of all, each of them has a unique ability to help you learn how to create longer spaces of silence between the thoughts. And that's what I love about yoga, is it's really helped me not only with the physical unlocking of the stress in my body, which is still ongoing because of a lot of reasons. It also has helped me be better capable and in responding and taking that space, and to have those longer moments of silence between thoughts. And I love silent meditation. So
Well, one of the things I really want to expand upon is the fact that so many people expect, and I'm going to admit it, like I did it too, when I was, just when I started exercising, a year ago, actually it's over a year, I'd be like, all right, I did a really good workout. So what did I lose? So it's like we expect immediate gratification. And I really want to point out, with all of these tools and all of these great techniques that Dawn has shared, it is a practice. It is creating these new habits. It's incorporating these things. And every single one that she has talked about is not this hour-long process. It's what, 60 seconds? So you can absolutely incorporate it when you're driving. You can incorporate it when you're sitting in a chair. You can incorporate it when you are having something come to you and you're like, all right, let me just hold up a second. Let me think about this for just a minute. I love it's the 60 seconds at a time, 60 seconds at a time. It allows us to kind of take a deep breath and be like, all right, let me think. Let me see how I feel. And I know you brought up like your shoulders. Where are other places? So like if someone doesn't get it in their shoulders, where are there other places that they can recognize, boom, I've got stress, or I've got.
yeah, lower body, hips and lower back, the neck. So for the lower body, their side bends are incredibly powerful. So really what you can do is place your hands on your hips, squeeze your lower belly in and up, inhale, and then tip to the side. You could normally feel a nice stretch. It depends. I mean, you can also bring your arm up over your head to get the whole side, but I know for some people, that motion isn't available. There's seated figure four. You can cross your ankle over your shin or your knee and breathe into the hips. And lower back, something you can do while you're making or waiting for your favorite hot beverage in the morning, or cold beverage. Place your hands on your table and walk back until your chest is parallel or almost parallel, or just move back until you feel a sensation in your lower back, and breathe into the lower back. It's a standing downward dog. It's a half downward dog, using your surface and that's to get the stretch, and that's easy to do. Just even at your desk, just push your chair back and stretch out.
Mhm. That's pretty easy. Again, it's simple, it's easy, it's, but now, so you're, one more question.
Yeah.
So stress here, but where else can somebody have stress and not even realize that they're having stress? Because so many people are so in the go, they don't even
Yes.
recognize stress in their bodies anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Your face, you're clenching your teeth,
Oh, yeah.
your jaw, you may crunch your face. You may be like really scrutinizing something. Um, your gut, your belly. Um, Often, if you're feeling digestive distress, that could be a sign that you're holding stress in your lower belly, your chest,
Mm.
pretty much your whole body, even your feet. If you're on your feet a lot, or if you're working out a lot, your feet may feel very crampy, or very tight. So that's another place. Knees,
Wow.
Knees take a lot. Yeah, I would argue your whole body can feel the stress. And but the shoulders, the chest, the hips, the lower back, the face, those are the big common places. Your brain can even hold stress, in my opinion. The brain can hold stress, especially if you're doing a lot of analytical work. And there are days, if especially if you get headaches, that could be a sign that your brain is working overtime and needs to just shut down the eyes, shut down everything, and just rest.
Yes. And I'm going to give a perfect example of this. I have in January, February, I was in tremendous research mode. And there was one day where I was like, I had a list of things I wanted to research and take and look. My brain just shut down. It was like I read and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. And it was so exhausting that I attempted to do something else and it was like, no. It was so bad that I actually picked up a book that's just a fun book for me to read. And even that was difficult. I'm like, yeah, my brain is just shut itself down. It's like no more research, no more reading, no more anything. And it was like a full day where I just gave myself a break. I don't even think I watched TV for a few hours. It was like I just needed to give myself a total break of everything that I was bringing in. So yeah, I definitely had a day of shutdown. I mean, really. So it's interesting. Even our brains can say, yeah, yeah, you've done enough research, you've done enough reading on this, you've done enough, and I just need you to stop and give me a break. Yes.
Absolutely.
So where can people reach out to you to get to know you more about what your offers are?
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to follow me on Facebook under my profile, Dawn Haywood. I also have an amazing Facebook group, Yoga to Enhance Your Quality of Life. And
Mhm.
in that group, I get into a little more detail about the teachings of yoga. So I do a lot of that on my regular Facebook page as well. But I really save the meat and the juicy bits for my group. So um, I'll post videos about mini classes, different educational opportunities, along with the class offerings that I have, and some of the other courses and opportunities you have to work with me. I'm also on Instagram for those of you. I know we're here on Facebook, but if you prefer Instagram, Dawn's Yoga and Wellness on Instagram, I'd love to have you follow me there. Same kind of material, uh, short videos, information about what I'm doing personally and professionally. I am on a 30-day health and wellness journey, so there's a lot of those posts floating around. But Instagram, I do a lot more of the videos of the work that I do. So mini classes and other tips and techniques.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And we will post the Facebook group below so you guys can jump in if you so desire, or you could reach out to her on Facebook and have a lovely Saturday all. Stay cool. I hope wherever you are, it's cool there.
Thank you.